Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're a teacher, you know this better than anyone. No two students are ever the same. So today, we're going to dive into a guide that's all about helping you understand and support every single one of the diverse learners in your classroom. This quote just perfectly sets the tone, doesn't it? It's all about shifting our perspective, moving away from focusing on challenges and instead looking at strengths, seeing every student for their own unique potential. I mean, this is just the reality on the ground, isn't it? Every single day, you walk into a room and you're navigating this amazing, complex mix of personalities and learning styles. It's a huge challenge, for sure, but it's also an incredible opportunity. So let's start right there by acknowledging that reality head on. Because honestly, before we can even begin to talk about strategies, we have to get a clear picture of the landscape. That's always the first step to building a classroom where everyone feels like they belong. And you've probably seen all of these, right? Whether it's the student who struggles with reading, the one who just can't sit still, or someone who needs a little extra help communicating, these needs are a totally normal and expected part of education today. Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial point. It's all about reframing your role in the classroom. This isn't about having every single answer. It's about having the right approach. Let's break down what that actually looks like. Okay. What I love about this is the amount of pressure it just takes off your shoulders. You are not expected to be a doctor. You are not a specialist. Your expertise is right there, in the classroom. Your job is to observe what's going on, try to understand the student's needs from their perspective, and then adapt your teaching. That's it. And this right here is the core idea. It's such a game changer. We're not trying to fix the student. We're trying to fix the environment so it fits the student. It's a really subtle shift in thinking, but wow, it changes absolutely everything. All right, so with that mindset in place, let's get practical. Think of this next part as your toolkit. It's filled with simple, actionable things you can literally start using tomorrow for some of the most common educational needs you're going to come across. First up, learning disabilities. Now, this is a pretty broad category that covers things like dyslexia, but it often just boils down to a student having a challenge with processing language, whether that's reading it, writing it, or hearing it. So, what do you do if you see a student who really struggles with spelling or writes very slowly? The answer isn't just to tell them to try harder. The real strategy is to adapt. Use more pictures, maybe some charts, give them a few extra minutes, or, hey, let them just explain their answer out loud. They're just simple adjustments. Next up, ADHD. This one is so often misunderstood as a kid just being hyper, but the real challenges are actually rooted in difficulty with focusing, controlling impulses, and, just regulating all that energy. So for that student who gets distracted by, well, everything, or the one who just can't seem to finish a worksheet, long instructions and long work periods are kind of their enemy. The solution? Break it all down. Give them one small task at a time. Use short, clear sentences. And absolutely build in breaks for them to get up and move. Now, let's talk for a minute about autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. This is a developmental condition, and it mainly impacts how a person communicates, how they interact with other people, and how they experience the world around them. For many students with ASD, predictability is comfort, it's safety. So a really key characteristic is that strong preference for routine, and sometimes a sensitivity to sudden changes or sensory overload, like loud noises. So the strategies flow right from that. Use visual timetables so they always know what's coming next. Try to keep things consistent, and always use clear, direct language. Okay, so theory is great, right? But let's see what this actually looks like in a real classroom. Because it's one thing to know the strategies, but it's another thing entirely to see them in action. So meet Allie, and I'm willing to bet that many of us have had a student just like Allie in our classroom at some point. Let's break down what's going on with him. The observations are pretty clear, right? Ollie can't stay focused, he's restless, he keeps leaving his seat, and his work just isn't getting done. These are those classic signs of a student who is really struggling with the learning environment as it is. And here it is. This is the moment of truth. It is so easy to get frustrated in this situation, but what if we just pause for a second and think back to our role? What's that very first step? Exactly. The teacher doesn't need to diagnose Allie with anything. They just need to follow those 3 simple steps we talked about. Observe the behavior, understand that it might point to a need for movement or shorter work periods, and then adopt the approach. And look at the adaptations. Just notice how simple they are. There's no expensive equipment here, no specialist training required. It's just breaking work into smaller chunks, simplifying the instructions, and allowing him to move. These tiny changes can completely transform Ollie's entire experience at school. Which brings us to what might be the most important takeaway of all. You don't need some grand, sweeping plan to make a difference. The real magic, the real change, happens in the small, consistent adjustments you make every single day. And that's the whole point, really. Never, ever underestimate the power of a small adaptation. Giving a student 5 extra minutes or providing a simple visual aid, it might seem minor to you, but for them, it could be the very key that unlocks their learning. So as we wrap things up, let's just lock in these key tips. First, simplify. Use clear language. Second, make things visual. Use charts. Use schedules. Third, be patient. Be supportive and repeat things when you need to. And remember, it's always about adapting the environment, not the student. These are the small hinges that swing those big doors open. And I'll leave you with this final thought to reflect on. Thinking about your own classroom, your own students. Which learning needs really push you to grow the most as an educator? Because I guarantee the answer to that question is where your next great breakthrough is waiting to happen.